Welcome to the 10th and final episode of the LS917J, and I'm going to try something a little bit different here. I'm going to take about 5 hours of footage, is what it took me from here to finish, and I'm going to try to condense it into one episode, 45 minutes to an hour long. So we'll see how it goes, and I hope you enjoy. At the end of episode number 9, we were finishing up at El Rancho Farms. And now we just passed up Kern Ridge Growers and J.C. Loomis. So these are pretty straightforward. Just Kern Ridge Growers didn't have any pickups, but we had a few setouts. So I'll drop these two cars right here, and then we'll move up to J.C. Loomis. Now I'm just recoupling to the rest of our train up back on the main line. So I've got that one pickup from J.C. Loomis that I'm connecting to the rest of our train, and then I'll place the setouts. So now I can recouple to the rest of our train, and we got to pull up to that siding, and I'm going to shift some of these pickups so that they're on the back of the train. All right, I'm going to stop right here and then get out, and I want to pull off the pickups that are going back to the Bakersfield yard that are right behind. You can see these that are right behind the engines. I don't want them behind the engines for the rest of the trip. I want to get them behind these ones here that we got to drop off still. So what I'm going to do is cut it here, and then I'm going to pull them up and back them into the rest of the pickups that are currently on the siding. So now I'm just coupling them to the rest of the pickups that are on the siding. And because we're sticking out a little bit here, you can see I got to shove these back further. But we got plenty of room behind us, so not a problem. And now that these are all together, I can go back out onto the main line, and now I'm going to couple to the rest of the cars that I just left. And these ones now right behind the locomotives are going to be the cars that I'm dropping off at industries up ahead. Now I'm going to take this cut and back it into the siding and couple to the rest of our train. So then we'll have the whole train, and everything behind these cars right here that you see are going to be all the pickups that are just going back to the yard. And looking here on the train tagger menu, you can see the Green Valley Packers, Potato Depot, and then from here down, it's all just going back to Bakersfield Yard. So that's exactly how I want it. And that way, it just makes it easier, because now as we work these other industries, we're not pushing and pulling cars that are just going back to the yard it would just make it take longer. So off to the right out the window there is Heck Cellars Winery, and if you remember from several episodes ago, I left a cut of cars there that also have to go back to the yard, just so that we didn't have to drag them on this recent portion of the trip. So once I clear this switch, I can back the entire train into the Heck Cellars Winery tracks and couple to that cut. Now I can pull all those cars out of here, and we'll move on to our next stop. And that next stop is Green Valley Packers, right up here on the right. How fantastic do those mountains look in the background with the sun going down, just that silhouette. You get that layer of fog on the lower base. And our next stop is Kern Ridge Growers, Lamont. And there's Kern Ridge Growers Lamont right here on the right with this one boxcar. And we got a couple of setouts. I ended up coming in here a little bit too hot, and I went past where I wanted to, so now I got to shove back just to get into position. And I got a unit alarm here. This is super rare. I don't know if I've ever gotten one like this, indicating a failure on these EMDs. So it's flashing, which means that it's not in this unit. It's in one. The problem is with one of the other units. So I got to get out and check all of them and see which one isn't flashing. This one's flashing, so it's not this one. And you can see if I click on them, you get a warning, or not a warning, you get a message at the top left letting you know what's wrong. But the ones where it's flashing, it doesn't show any message. It just says the unit number. So it must be the bicentennial unit that's got the problem. And it is. See how that's solid? And if I click it at the top left, see how it says low water? So the engine automatically shut down and we got that warning light on. So all I have to do is just come out here and click on it and click, well, if you see, I click in the stats, see how it says water low? And if I wanted, I could just double click that low text and it'll fix it here. But I'm going to isolate it, keep the engine off. And by isolating it, that'll turn off that warning light. And then I'm also just going to cut out the dynamic brake. It might actually be, I would have to think it's cut out if it's not running anyways, but I just clicked it. And then by isolating it, it removes that flashing warning light. So now when I hop back in here, you can see that that flashing is gone. But I'm down to 3 locomotives to pull the rest of this train all the way home. Then at the last minute here, I realized that I left this switch open out on the main, and thankfully I'm in good shape. I had to jump down and sprint to flip it before we got there. Otherwise, we would have been routed up into this siding. And I took care of this one too while I'm down there. And then I sprinted back and hopped in just in time. And on our right here, you can see Kirschman Enterprises. And then after that is Kimber Pallets. And then we've got Potato Depot, and that's the one we're going to be switching next. So now I'm just pulling that car out of Potato Depot, and I'm just going to set it over here on the main. And now I'm going to couple to the pickup that I had left here. And I just didn't push it all the way back to our train just to make it a little quicker to begin with. So now we have to recouple. And now I'm going to shove it all the way back. You can see I would have had to go quite a bit further had I wanted to couple it when I first set it out there. So I just left it where it was. And then now we're going to push it all the way back. So now I'm heading up to Grimway Enterprises. It's a little bit of a ways down the track. And here it is coming up here on the left, and I want to make sure that I'm not blocking this intersection. But I ended up going a little bit too far, so now I got to shove the cars back so that I can split it at the right spot and pull off the Grimway Enterprises cars and then not be blocking the intersection. So I'll cut it right here after Grimway Enterprises, that car right there, that Union Pacific. And now we're not blocking the intersection. And now I can flip the switch here and back into Grimway and we'll pull out the pickup. Now that Grimway Enterprises is done, I'm going to shove back and recouple to the rest of our train. And it was at this moment that I realized that not only did I forget about Arvin grape growers to switch them out, but I also forgot the pickups that I had left on the siding back there on an earlier episode. So, needless to say, I got to go backwards quite a ways right now. Look at how nice that sunset looks out there. I love the different color gradients. Really cool. And that's Arvin Grape Growers right there, that first industry on the left. But I'm going to first go back far enough so that I can couple to the cars that I left in that siding. And this is the cut here on the left that I completely forgot about. So it's actually a good thing that I forgot about Arvin Grape Growers because it reminded me of this one as well. And once I couple to these cars, then I'm going to go home for the night and come back tomorrow morning to continue on. And now it's the next morning and we're ready to go. And I got to keep pushing now. We just coupled to that big cut that I had left in the siding, and I got to keep pushing backwards because we got to get clear of Arvin Grape Growers so that we can then switch that out. So now that I've taken care of that little mistake, I can head back towards Kern Oil. I just want to pop up the tagger real quick and just take a look, and you can see that all these cars now are going back to Bakersfield Yard. So we've taken care of all of the setouts except for the few at the very beginning where we left cars, and at Kern Oil, which we're heading to now because we had dropped off our setouts, but we didn't place them yet. So this is Kern Oil where we set out those cars you see straight ahead near that little pond. We did that several episodes ago, and now we've got to put them in place. And I'm going to cut the train right here so that we're not blocking this intersection. I only want to just take 2 locomotives, which will be plenty for this Kern Oil switching. So I'm going to leave the other 2 out there on the main track. I'm going to have to couple to this cut, and then I'm going to shove them back further because they're currently blocking this track that I need to get to the pickups that you see in the distance there. So I got to just shove them, what, maybe 6 cars back just to get them out of the way temporarily. And now I just need to run around to the other side so I can grab those pickups that you see ahead. But I probably should have grabbed the pickups that are just behind me off to the left on those storage tracks. If I would have just grabbed them right now, backed up and grabbed them, then I could have pulled them out onto that main track. And probably saved a little bit of time. It's not a big deal, but might have been a little bit more efficient. Now I'm just running back to collect all these other pickups. And I just realized that I have that switch the wrong way, so I have to get it, but I got it too late, and now I'm going to have a big problem because one car went the wrong way. But thankfully the air hose didn't disconnect, so all I had to do was just pull the handbrake off and pull it back forward just to fix this mistake, and then I can back him down the right way. But kind of a little bit embarrassing. And I can drop him right here for now, and that way I can easily get in and work all the setouts. I'm going to put 3 cars on each track by those filling, I don't know if they're loading or unloading stations, but I'm going to split it 3 and 3 and then put the rest on the storage tracks. So current oil is done, and I can shove these back. And now we're going to have a mid-train DPU. I didn't even think about this when I originally planned out my routing, but it's not a big deal. So now I just have to click on this locomotive, and if you look where it says MU there, click that. Now it says DPU lead, but it says forward, and this one's going to be going reverse. So I click it to make it yellow there, so it says reverse. And that's really all you have to do to set that up. And then this bicentennial's MU'd, but it's isolated because it's got low water, so it's not even running. And then I'm just going to hit auto air brakes just to make sure all those are filled up. And to be honest, just from my experience, unless I have to set up a DPU or something like a very unique scenario, I just usually before I go, I'll just go to the lead locomotive and I'll just click auto MU, DPU, and auto air brakes, auto circuit breakers. And that just makes sure that the whole train everything's good to go. Because I've had some times where I try to do it all manually by switching all those buttons and stuff, and it's probably me messing up, but like something will be wrong and not working right. So I find it kind of like resets everything, clears it out, and everything works really well if you just do it from the lead unit. So now I'm just about to arrive at Unico Chemical and Bolthouse Farms, where we dropped cars off in episode number 1. These were the first industries we passed, but we didn't put the cars in the right spot just yet. So I'm just going to pull up here before this crossing and then come to a stop, and then disconnect the locomotives and switch out those 2 industries. Oh gosh, this BNSF, is this a... Oh, he better... What is he doing? Look, back up, back up. Oh my goodness. Totally avoidable. He didn't have to do that. And now that I have recoupled to our train, we are done, essentially. We just got to make it back to the Bakersfield yard. And here we are back home at UP Bakersfield. Feels like ages ago when we left. And that wraps up episode 10 and the LS917J Local Job, SJVR, out of UP Bakersfield. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a tremendous amount of work. And I'm exhausted, not only from driving the train, but from editing as well. So let me know your thoughts on this episode where I took about 5 hours and condensed it to about 1 hour. Do you like this style where it's a lot of editing, or do you prefer just more raw, uncut, the whole natural footage? Let me know in the comments. And thanks for watching.